Bienvenidos a English Tesla. Hoy traemos algo especial para ti, sin importar si eres principiante o intermedio. En este vídeo, vas a mejorar tu listening de una manera única. Aquí no se trata de traducir palabra por palabra. Lo que realmente importa es entender el contexto completo de lo que escuchas, cómo las palabras se conectan y el mensaje detrás de ellas. No importa en qué nivel estés, este vídeo es perfecto para que desarrolles tu capacidad de comprensión auditiva, aprendas a pensar en inglés y, lo más importante, te sientas cómodo con el idioma. Vamos a sumergirnos en la historia y disfrutar del proceso.
Once upon a time, in a small village called Brookwood, lived a curious young girl named Emma. Emma loved exploring. Every day after school, she would walk through the village, visit the local bakery, or talk to the old man who lived near the river. But Emma's favorite thing to do was go into the forest that surrounded the village. For many years, people in the village whispered about the forest. They said it was enchanted, and that strange things happened there. Some people claimed to have seen glowing lights at night, while others heard music coming from the trees. But Emma didn't believe any of it. She thought the forest was simply beautiful, filled with tall trees, colorful flowers, and the sound of birds singing. One day, Emma decided to go deeper into the forest than ever before. She packed a small backpack with a sandwich, an apple, and a bottle of water, and set off after school. As she walked along the path, she noticed something unusual. The trees seemed to be getting taller and thicker, and the sunlight that filtered through the leaves looked golden and warm. Suddenly, Emma heard a sound. It wasn't a bird, and it wasn't the wind. It was a soft, melodic tune. "It's coming from over there," she thought, as she walked toward the sound. The deeper she went, the more the music seemed to surround her. She followed the melody until she came to a small clearing. In the center of the clearing was an old wooden door standing alone. The door had no walls, no house, and no windows. It was simply a door, floating in the middle of the forest. Emma was surprised. "What is this?" she whispered to herself. She stepped closer and reached out to touch the door. It was warm, like the sunlight, and the music seemed to come from behind it. "Should I open it?" she wondered. At that moment, she heard a voice. "Only the brave can enter," the voice said softly. Emma jumped back. "Who's there?" she asked, but there was no one to be seen. The voice didn't answer, but Emma felt a strange sense of determination. "I'm brave," she said out loud. "I can do this." Without thinking twice, Emma turned the doorknob and stepped inside. The moment she crossed the threshold, everything changed. The forest outside disappeared, and she found herself in a new world. This place was strange, with giant trees that seemed to touch the sky, and flowers that glowed in the dark. There's a soft mist floating above the ground, and the air smelled like fresh rain. It was both magical and peaceful. Emma walked further into this new world, feeling both excited and nervous. She couldn't understand how she had gotten here, but she knew she had to explore. As she walked, she noticed small creatures. Some looked like rabbits, others like birds, but all of them were wearing tiny clothes and talking to each other. Emma was amazed. "Am I dreaming?" she thought. But everything felt real. She approached one of the creatures, a small rabbit wearing a green vest. "Excuse me," she said politely. "Where am I?" The rabbit looked up at her and smiled. "You're in the enchanted realm," it said. "This place exists between worlds. Not many can find it." Emma blinked. "The enchanted realm," she repeated. "How did I get here?" The rabbit shrugged. "That is a question only you can answer. But now that you're here, you must decide. Will you help us?" "Help you?" Emma asked, her curiosity growing stronger. "How can I help?" The rabbit's face grew serious. "There's a great danger. A dark shadow is spreading across the realm, and if we don't stop it, everything here will be lost." Emma's heart began to race. "What can I do?" The rabbit looked into her eyes and said, "You must find the crystal of light. It is hidden in the forest of shadows. Only with the crystal can the darkness be defeated." Without hesitation, Emma agreed to help. The rabbit led her to a small boat made of leaves, and they floated down a river that seemed to glow with a soft blue light. As they traveled, Emma asked the rabbit many questions, but was always careful with its answers, as if it knew more than it was saying. After what felt like hours, they arrived at the forest of shadows. The trees here were dark and twisted, their branches stretching out like claws. The air was thick and cold, and Emma could hear whispers in the wind. She felt afraid, but she didn't turn back. "Stay close," the rabbit warned. "The shadows are tricky. They can make you see things that aren't real." Emma nodded, gripping the oar tightly as they moved deeper into the forest. The shadows seemed to follow them, growing larger with each step. Suddenly, Emma saw a figure ahead. It looked like a woman, standing alone in the dark. "Who are you?" Emma called out, but the figure didn't answer. Instead, she started to walk toward Emma, her eyes glowing red. The rabbit hopped to the front, blocking the path. "It's not real," he shouted. "Don't look at her eyes." Emma closed her eyes tightly, remembering the rabbit's warning. She took a deep breath and opened her eyes again, only to find the figure had vanished. The rest of the journey was just as difficult. The shadows tried to trick Emma, making her see things that weren't real. Friends calling her name, the village she came from, even her parents. But she kept moving forward, never losing sight of her goal. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they reached the heart of the forest. There, hidden under an ancient tree, was the crystal of light, glowing brightly in the darkness. With trembling hands, Emma took the crystal and felt its warmth spread through her. The darkness around her began to fade, and the shadows slowly disappeared. The enchanted realm was saved.
Y ahí lo tienes. Espero que hayas disfrutado de esta historia y que hayas notado cómo tu comprensión auditiva ha mejorado. Recuerda, no se trata de traducir cada palabra, sino de entender el contexto y conectar lo que escuchas con lo que ves. No importa si eres principiante o intermedio, lo importante es seguir practicando y exponerte al inglés de manera natural. Si te ha gustado este vídeo, no olvides darle like y suscribirte para más contenido que te ayudará a mejorar tu listening y avanzar en tu aprendizaje del inglés. Nos vemos en el próximo vídeo de English Tesla.